Okay, we say for person like na comment no share money say the yeah be share na yeah Dr.Jonathan A.Otchere political analyst now the same be alcohol the ama NPP for now you see this particular doctor those people now are neutral people the academics now sorry or the likes of if any say Professor Jampo breed nibino or that type nibi or present almost like neutral academic neutrals being on person how political your friend say arena no see corner the some kind neutral people. But these people are NDC, the MDC, some katakata, money no much say chili say, or mumpe say, no, I'm be headed, no, not put neutral people. This particular doctor, and or what now on your TV, so catch MPP for say, or more, a friend say, top to down approach no use no. Or more elected or more, a friend is a presidential, a friend is a flag bearer first. No, my head, I can say the more than a far more no. Before introducing this particular strategy, man, we could try UTV so on your TV so or catch people for say on be breeded by a political tyrant for no more on be you some man we and they na fire na to by kama over the weekend to regional elections are smooth peaceful one to ko baby one take hey we are baby ano and they were by no afide the way almost see elections no there kokama na the no I just say NDC 5 years some extreme a friend say as a Diego extreme be as a discarding scandals and see be near their DB and a bit in my mind NDC for a position now MPP for the omoye no card still now they are not attractive near their day hey serious afide to say oh no. Now when I Prosper not the NPP communications member, what is one of the new breeds of NDC communicators or more camera bia. Oh, who's the first no name so more camera na who the senior the Chinese NDC for this NPP so new breed biba. Many a ding Prosper not one of the people who call Facebook is very loud. Who can't reply. Or not call 3FM. 3FM na this whole issue is here. Now morning show no so sunrise so no. And Dr. Ibeki cancer and and Prosper say here this time around here my chance those fake neutrals no man try make and baby and NPP home they be that on agenda name fa we are makoji position to say Professor Jampo there be busy and you no left right center and you're back to back Dr. General left right center me see you will love it. This particular communicator.
Amongst others. Prosper, let me start off with you. You've crossed one hurdle. Perhaps October 3 is when the last one will be cleared. But does this position the party now towards that final hurdle? And we were hearing the flag bearer say that, look, the goal is to win elections 2028. Does this set you on the path towards that?
Most certainly. I think this is part of our reorganization processes, and I'd like to first congratulate all winners and wish contenders also very well, because it was a good exercise that we had over the weekend. It was violence-free. There was no incident of vote buying, and so this is a good step towards victory 2028. Generally, it was a fair election, and the results across board is a clear demonstration of what the party at the base there wants and what the party wants to work with towards election 2028. So, in the early stages, I would say yes, this is a good step for the party towards victory 2028. But most importantly, we need a united front for the 2028 general election, because results studied from our 2024 general elections showed that a chunk of our base didn't go to vote. They were disgruntled. And so we need to consolidate all our base, all our efforts towards winning election 2028. So generally, it was a fair process. It was a peaceful exercise. And once again, congratulations to all the winners.
Right.
Those are preliminary comments. I'm sure we'll begin to get into a bit more. Doc, quick thoughts as well in relation to what it is that we saw from the weekend, and then we can begin to go into the numbers as to what the voter turnout was like in 2024 and all of that.
Well, from my perspective, I think on several times I had mentioned that the NDC is not perturbed by any political strategy that the NPP will deploy, whether after the reorganization or in 2028 election. We are well experienced. We have the capacity. We have the strategic management skills. We have the know-how of the politics of Ghana over the years, and we are sustainable enough to match them in 2028. However, I have to state clearly that the reorganization of the NPP is necessary because we don't want to go into competition with a scattered reorganization of the opposition party. If they've done it well, it is good for them. If they don't do it well, it is bad for them. And they must know that they have a very big time, Herculean task ahead of them. What I see is that to be able to win back the structures that you have destroyed over the years, the element of your own party members, it's also there's an internal work to be done. You have to build confidence in the economic indicators that you have let A.Otchere, which excuse me to say, today is not a time for debate. It's just to acknowledge the political trend of what you have done. And I must say that if the elections are peaceful as my opponent has stated, it is good for the democracy of this country. If it is not done well, the laws of the state will be applied to each and every political party that refuses to go through the political processes of election in a very disciplined manner. Top of my voice, I always say that a country that will develop will not be totally based on discipline. If the society is not disciplined with the laws and regulations, we are failing the institutions. We cannot achieve what we want to achieve for the development of this nation. So it is important and it is credible enough that as a political party, any promise or statement that you put out there, you need to fulfill it. And that is what the current government led by John Dramani Mahama, we are seeking to do, so that at the end of the day, we'll be accountable in 2028 and win the election to continue the good work that we are doing.
Right. I'm going to go for this break. Or Helen, just quick thoughts after I return from the break. So I'm going to go for this break. When we return, then we begin to go into the numbers a bit more, right? Because we've seen Okobo in the Greater Accra region. We're seeing Abronya in the Bunu region. We're seeing Koka in the Ashanti region. The Ashanti and then the Eastern regions are pretty much like where it all goes down for the NPP. In the Ashanti region, it wasn't great performance, even though that was still where you got the chunk of your vote and all of that. So when I return from this break, we'll get a bit more into those specific details here on the show. Let me get onto the phone. Dr. Jonathan A.Otchere is a political analyst with the University of Cape Coast, is joining us via the phone as well. Doc, I appreciate you for joining us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise. We've seen the outcome of the regional executive elections. The party's flag bearer has been speaking as well and suggests that, look, the work begins now. Even though we have October 3 for national elections, the work begins now. Let's rally around work towards victory come elections 2028. From a political analyst standpoint, seeing the results and how things played out, is that assertion accurate, and is the NPP ready now, at least partly, to begin to soldier on for elections 2028?
Yeah, Mawina, thank you. Let me say good morning to your listeners. Partly yes, partly no. Yes, in the sense that we have elected an individual in the person of Dr. Okoboy for Greater Accra. That, for me, is someone with clout, an indigene for that matter. Having been a minister, MP before, well, I think he's risen through the ranks and knows the nooks and crannies of the party, and so on and so forth. It's just that Greater Accra has not been the home of the NPP. By and large, if you look at the trajectory from 1992 to 2004, in terms of presidential elections, the NPP has won just 3 out of 9. So the MDC holds 3 different elections ahead of the NPP. So partially, you have to appreciate the fact that the NPP, the NDC can still call Greater Accra their home. Secondly, the Ashanti region, which is the hub of the party, virtually the fortunes of the party, are dwindling in terms of Ashanti region. Perhaps because of the politics of Mr. Wuntue. And that in itself has not really, resonated well with the grassroots of the party. If you look at the current trajectory and polls that have come up, it shows that the attraction of the youth is drifting away from the NPP to the NDC. And certain significant projects, once they are concluded, commissioned and they are in use, will not in any way inure to the favor of the NPP. And that in itself could equally affect the chances. So they are partly ready, partly they are not. But to the extent of electing Mr. Abronye, for me, they are not ready. Because his type of politics does not really resonate well with the generality of the populace. And so if the delegates have decided to re-elect him, either because he's a Baumia boy or not, that for me is not sending the right message to the general populace. And it is a decision that the delegates have done. Leadership reflects the general, citizens. So that is the kind of individual that they want or they think will bring, goodies to the party. Because today you are holding just one, constituency. He's lost the rest. So he did not deserve to be re-elected, unless maybe those who are contesting him were not solid enough. And that is my general view, what has transpired. I must, congratulate them because they have done caritably well in holding the regional elections with less, trouble.
Right. That's an important point to make. But let's look at the Ashanti region for one, right? And the individual who is the regional chairman now, Koka, has been around for quite some time. And even for the secretary position as well, is another individual who's been around for some time. The complaint was that, look, the Ashanti region did not turn up in the numbers as expected for the NPP during the 2024 elections. With the new leadership in charge, do we begin to see that turnaround, particularly for elections 2024? Remember, there's been general admissions from some persons as well that, look, the current regional minister, the mayor of Kumasi, amongst others, are posing quite the danger for the NPP in terms of how they are going about their activities. Does these these elections, rather, these individuals who've been elected, begin to wrestle the numbers out of the grips of the NDC, at least to a certain extent, because the NDC doesn't have to necessarily get 50% before they trouble the NPP in the Ashanti region?
Yeah. Human relation is the key, and then reassuring the people. So far, you mentioned two names, the mayor and then the regional minister. Fantastic individuals. The mayor is a disciplinarian. The regional minister is a human relation-centered individual. So if you combine the two, one ensuring that the development takes place, the other one ensuring that little things that human beings need, that human beings intend to relate to, they are taken care of. That in itself will inure to the benefit of the NDC. Now, COCA is the right decision because I said that on your TV that Saturday, yes, your sister station, the two regions that I commented, they won. I said that it is very wrong, part of the chief of staff of Dr. Baumia, that is A.Otchere and Saponso, to come out openly to support Dr. Kukufu. And that meant that they were expecting the wound-to-me factor to play a card for Dr. Kukufu. I said that it was wrong because the support or the brand of wound-to-me is tainted. And you do not expect the delegate to still be aligned with that particular tainted brand. And so even if they had decided to support him behind the scenes, that would have been better. But that being said, COCA, because he's been a perennial candidate, was going to get sympathy vote. And that is exactly what transpired, and he won. COCA's election is supposed to bring new verve, new energy into the Ashanti region. But I dare say that if the president is able to finish the project called Expressway from this Ablekuma to Kumasi or to the Ashanti region, I think the NPP should count out 2028 elections. They won't win. Because what NDC needs is a little over 30 or 30% in Ashanti region. The rest, they say, is history. So, in as much as his election is going to bring new energy, new verve, new enthusiasm, new momentum, and so on and so forth, it is an arduous task that has been, handed to Mr. COCA and even to Dr. Okoboy as well. These are the two main populated regions in this country. And so it is important you're able to control, right, the way and manner people, go about things and then how they are going to vote. And so, yes, it is okay that they have brought new faces in that place. They will be able to try and re-energize the grassroots, get the momentum. It is very easy to organize yourself very well when you are in opposition. So the other dynamics, fall on the party that is in government. How are you taking care of your people? There are some petty bickerings here and there internally. Because I said two main things that will make the NDC win or lose 2028. The legacy or the running of the economy under President Mahama. So far, the economy now and the economy then, which one is better? The economy now is by far better than the previous one. The second one is the transition. Who comes after Mr. Mahama? How they are going to conduct it will make or make the party. And we've seen it before. And so if at the end of the day, there is that natural understanding of those who lose and decide to fully support the very person who will have won, I think that the NPP under Baumia will not be in a position to win the 2028 elections. Right. Finally, remember that there is this issue of Mr. Kenoforiata that is very political and financial. And it is not as though people have easily forgotten about what President Akufo-Addo did, for which reason Dr. Baumia himself was part. So there are some individuals, what they've done in the past, and what they are going to tell us today or tomorrow, people will compare that with what they did when they were in government and what they said to Dr. Baumia. If they are controverted, then obviously it is still going to affect his credibility. That credibility crisis that he's been suffering or he suffered in the 2024 elections is not gone yet. It is a tag that is hanging around him. So it is only when the NDC performs abysmally than what they inherited from the NPP, that is the only point the NPP can be asked to come back.
Right then. Doc, I got the indication you have to leave us shortly. Just on Greater Accra and Okoboy, because we saw that along the coast, particularly, almost all of the seats went to the NDC. Now we're seeing an indigene proper, if we can call it that, coming in. Outside of winning the general elections as well, there's a factor as to seats being won, amongst other things. How does that translate, possibly, into swaying a bit more of indigenes to want to pick NPP persons into parliament? An example being the Greater Accra region.
Well, I mean, the MPship, it is very competitive. You need the resources. Greater Accra has become more cosmopolitan than any, region in this country. So sometimes it is very difficult to get the indigenes to come up. Unless maybe there is that affirmative action on the part of the party to indigenize some of the areas. When you do that, it could be seen as an affront to the constitutional dictate and so on and so forth. So certain things will have to be done silently behind the scenes. You may do that by machinating, but without necessarily incurring the displeasure, of other demographics. It is important, especially in the coastal areas where indigenous people dominate, that you should have one of their own leading. So I think that with the President Dr. Okoboy, if he is so solid and convinced about the need to have some of these indigenous people elected in those areas, it will help, because sometimes it goes to the extent that people can easily identify their own. Tribal politics, yes, it happens, but it happens silently. There are many people who may identify themselves with a political party just because they feel at home with that. So you cannot blame the Ashanti that they are mostly NPP. Neither can you blame the others that they are mostly NDC. It is because they feel at home with these two, main parties. But you look at the trajectory for politics, migrations here and there. I mean, can you even know the percentage in terms of Greater Accra population who are indigenous and that of settlers who are controlling the economy of Greater Accra, if you ask me? And so it's an obvious task, but they can really start from somewhere. You see, chiefs cannot engage in partisan politics, but they throw in jabs here and there with respect to the questions that you are asking. So if they have done it over the period and they've not been able to win the seats in terms of majority, what stops them from changing? They can try it for once and see how that would equally help. It doesn't spoil anything. But obviously there will be a mixture of the various, tribes in this country that will emerge in Greater Accra constituencies. But you know that in terms of the coastal areas, it is dominated more by the indigenous people. So if you so desire that you need some of these indigenous people to hold the affairs of these constituencies, I think that in itself could be a good call. But remember, it is a competition. So you have to compete to win. If you don't have the resources, no matter the good intention, it is not going to work.
Right. Doc, I appreciate you for making time to speak to us this morning.
You're welcome, Aaron.
That's Dr. Jonathan A.Otchere. He's a political analyst joining us on the phone line this morning. I'm going to come to you, Prosper, and then before I go to Doc, because this is more internal party matters than any other thing. You've had Doc for some time. Says that, look, it's going to be a Herculean task for the NPP, even with the new faces, because it has to take extreme mismanagement to a certain extent before the NPP can take advantage. I mean, how do you respond?
But this is the same Doc who some months ago sat on Onya TV and said that we going by the top-down approach to produce a democratically elected tyrant as a leader, as a flag bearer. I don't think that's what we are having now. Today, he's telling us that when NDC completes the expressway, the NPP should forget the election 2028. So what if they don't complete it? Meanwhile, there is 70% of the Accra-Kumasi highway has been completed. It's left with 30%. He is not advocating for that to be completed. But his interest is in that NDC should be able to complete the expressway, and that will not give NPP a chance to win the election 2028. You see, I have tried so much to focus on basically the internal elections we have had and the questions you are asking thereof. The diversion, the peripheral arguments the NDC rep is making about the economy and the performance and issues about policy, I don't think it's something that I'll fall for. But if briefly, I may have to how do you call it, feed this ignorance about some of these things. If you tell me that you are performing better, and even on the issue of KFC, I just indicated that about 38%, that's 12 million of our population are facing food, how do you call it, insecurity. It's an increase from what you guys came to meet. Today, food was expensive, that's what you guys came to meet. So if you are talking, if there's a topic for discussion, please, let's focus on the topic. Then Doc also spoke about Ken Ofori-Atta. I don't think Doc is in the country. When NDC lost the 2016 election by close to 1 million votes. 2020, they beat it down to about 500,000. Said Namtamaklu was not in this country, but they were able to do it. When you are campaigning to citizens to vote for you, it's about what you can do and what they believe you'll be able to do for them. Over this weekend, I was at a breed in the Eastern region, the A.Otchere constituency in the Eastern region. Their functioning market has been demolished for a 24-hour economy market, and it's been months now. The government is not constructing. People there, these are the things they'll look out for and they'll vote. So you're not going to sit here and make some of these frivolous arguments there. And all apologies to Doc, I don't buy some of these things because he even sat on one station and said that the increase in fuel prices as a result of the NPP's mishaps. Some of these arguments, when you begin to make them, people begin to tag you or watch you in a particular spectacle, which is not fine. You shouldn't be doing some of these things. See,
so you disagree,
I disagree entirely with him. I disagree entirely with him on some of this, virtually everything he has said. We have elected our executives. We believe that we'll be able to marshal the forces for us to win the election 2028. Dr. Okoboy, like you said, is a proper indigene. I believe that looking back, we had Mr. A.Otchere, who was also a proper indigene, who helped us win the 2016 election, and it was from Greater Accra. We won more seats here in Greater Accra. I believe Dr. Okoboy will be able to fit into that shoes and help us win that election. So basically, that's what I have to say. Bringing in some of these things, if you have to look at economic indicators and trying to rope it into the fact that we've elected leaders, we may be able to do that. But today's topic is not for that. If you have to look at that, we'll go proper into it. You've not been able to pay NADMO workers for 13 months. Teachers are suffering. They've not been paid. If you have to look at that thing, we are diverting from the topic for which you've called us to come and discuss here. And I may not want to fall for that bit. So yes, you may give me the time to speak and you may want to rebut, but if it goes on that tangent, I'll also be able to go on similar tangent. And it's not good for the show. Listeners are listening based on the topic you've presented for us to discuss. If you want to divert into other things, right, I may be able to go that. Because newspaper review, you guys were discussing about some of these things, fuel prices. And I was also listening to Patrice, your other colleague that left here, and was talking about Chemawun Tumi's integrity. I found it very, very offensive. You know why I find it very, very offensive? Chemawun Tumi was just convicted a few weeks ago. He won us the 2016 election. He won us the 2020 election. Patrice is trying to cast aspersions on the delegates in Ashanti region who elected Chemawun Tumi about Chemawun Tumi's integrity. Some of these things, when you do, it's not right. It's not right, and we shouldn't be doing some of these things. I will be able to cast aspersions on every executive of the NDC based on my understanding of some of the things they've done. If issues are there for proper discussion, let's focus on the issue. Onto Chemawun Tumi's incarceration, will he be able to sit here to talk about Chemawun Tumi's integrity? And people also raising issues about Abronye. I heard Doc raise issue about Abronye. Every politics is local. The delegates in the region, they believe that Abronye will be able to help the party win power. He has done it before, and they believe that, yes, things didn't go right in the 2024 election, but when we give him the opportunity, he may be able to right the wrongs. You're not going to sit here and say that because Abronye has been elected, that's the offside of it. Who are you to determine how do the delegates in the region who understand the politics better than you in the region, who they should elect? They should elect person to your whims and caprices as to against what they believe will be able to help us win election. No. You may be able to raise your point, but when you bring it to tag someone and begin to look at him as a Abronye. Abronye, Asu, you may have issues with some of the things he does there, but down there, the people love him, and that's why they voted for him. You saw the margin, some of the people were getting 0. He had about 221. The closest to him had about 44 or so. So that should tell you that he's not a small force.